The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mike, good afternoon. Open line on Mannin Line today through till 1 o'clock, so the floor is yours. You're on the air by calling 66 1368. Text and WhatsApp 166 177. Email studio@manxradio.com. Did you hear the news about the Health and Social Care Minister, Claire Christian, wanted to spark discussion on the document, the Manx Care Mandate and the operating plan in Timble, but didn't happen. It meant a vote was required to suspend standing orders, and 14 MHKs backed the suspension, 8 opposed it, so it didn't happen because any suspension needs 70% support from the members of the House of Keys, and it didn't happen. Have you been following that story? Any thoughts on that? Also, have you spotted any rogue cat's eyes? After yesterday, we were talking about the fact that cat's eyes, Howard was saying yesterday, they're sunk into some sort of resin. But some are flying around, and somebody said there were some flying around in St Mark's yesterday. Have you spotted any rogue cat's eyes? Is it raining cat's eyes anywhere? If you've got any that are out of place, by all means do get in touch. WhatsApp me a photo on 166 177. If people would drive to the road, there'd be no problem, says this correspondent. Oh, Desmond. Trouble is that drivers have to be told how to drive. Example was I was going to Douglas from Peel, past the school there, and there were some students walking. I slowed to 20 miles an hour, but all the other cars didn't because they weren't told to. Says Desmond. This is talking about this 20 mile an hour speed limit and what's going to happen with it. A note in from Harry, who just said, well, surely this is bad for the environment, because cars going at 20 miles per hour, you're basically in first or second gear, and they're going to be polluting the air more. So how does that square? We don't know. Regarding speed cameras, people are saying that if you've got nothing to hide, what's the problem? How would they feel about cameras in their homes if they have nothing to hide? 093. It's a bit different, really, isn't it? One's public, one's private. Isn't it? The other point is that Simon dropped that note in just to say speed cameras equals cash in penalties. Therefore, surely the Treasury is going to be all for these if we have speed cameras. And if 20 mile an hour limits are coming in specific places, then how are you going to police them? How are you going to mandate them? And also out of hours, when palpably there's far less traffic on the road and far fewer people on the road, do 20 mile an hour speed limits make sense? And what about buses? And what about taxis? Regarding speed cameras, and this is another comment in from Terry, who just says, Dave, speed cameras aren't allowed unless there's an overwhelming evidence there's been a serious accident at the site. Apparently the UK had to disarm thousands of them years back. Is that true? I mean, they do have lots of speed cameras. I don't know about you, but if you've ever been on the lake boat into Heysham and then head on to the M6 and go south, crikey. Some of those speed cameras there that time of night when there's absolutely nothing on the motorway and you're having to kind of sort of go slow down there. My word. There's just saying speed cameras in built-up areas on a housing estate. We have static I think we did that one yesterday, but I appreciate that. And a message in just saying somebody with a common sense. That was John, the driving instructor, examiner, who called in yesterday. A bit of sense. And some people are so rich they don't care how to treat the country roads and lanes properly. They just don't care, says Manxwell. I don't quite know what you're getting at, Manxwell. What does that mean? We don't want to live in this dystopian world with cameras watching everything we do, says Mark. Thank you, Mark. 179. It's a bit late, really, isn't it? Because if you go down Strand Street, certainly you're on camera just about all the time. All the retail premises have got cameras inside them, so there are cameras here, there, and everywhere. We take your point, and of course, it would have been unthinkable many, many years ago. The cat's eyes are just stuck down. You grind a hole in the road the size of a tea plate. The whole unit's manufactured in a rubber plate to absorb shock and weather expansion and contraction. Then it's set in resin, says 134. It's very, very strong. And 20 mile an hour in villages, how is this ever going to be enforced? Also, why can't speed cameras be installed in these black spots? So why is it such a taboo subject on the Isle of Man, putting a speed camera in? It's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. Fewer accidents, financial benefits through fines. What is there to object to? It'll be interesting to see how many accidents have actually happened in these places. Of course, everyone will say, and I agree, one accident is one too many. Anyway, thoughts on that? What I need to tell you about is on Monday, of course, David Ashford is in, Cabinet Office Minister, is on Monday to talk about what it is exactly that they do. Remember, he was on a wee while ago talking, and public health is one of Cabinet Officer's functions, so maybe we'll talk about the healthy tooth brushing habits, improving oral health on the Isle of Man, because there were some quite troubling statistics. As of December last year, 6,114 people waiting for an NHS dentist on the Isle of Man, and almost a third of them were under 18. So what we're saying is about 2,000 under 18s are waiting for an NHS dentist on the Isle of Man. And there was also that dental survey of 12-year-olds about the continuation of the survey of 5-year-olds. This is all oral health resources for weaning and baby teeth care is provided to new parents through their health visitors. But of 5-year-olds, more than a quarter have decayed, missing or filled teeth. So something is going wrong somewhere, isn't it? Here's Susan now on Manx Radio's Mannin Line. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Andy. I'm ringing really because I listened to most of yesterday's programme, and most people rang in concerning this 20 mile an hour subject that's rattling on at the moment. I think this island is in a sad state, and the government that we voted in are not supporting us, not representing us, and it would be really good if they could just put silly ideas like 20 mile an hour, like whether the bishop gets a vote and things like that, on the back burner, and get all the big issues like the health service, like the state of the roads, like the steam packet, all of the big issues, get them sorted. You know, Alf Cannon, I thought when he was voted in, would be a very good chief minister. Over the last couple of years, he seems to have been very well in the background and only coming out when things needed awarding, when there was some good merit and things like that. He's been very, very quiet when there's been anything detrimental said. But today, with him stating that, you know, he wasn't happy with the situation over the health system, I think he needs to take on his inner Donald Trump, or we need somebody who can take on their inner Donald Trump and start saying this will be done. We will get this sorted and it will be done now. Not putting up with people or these MHKs saying, oh no, we can't talk about that now. It's a really, really important factor for the island, and there are quite a few big, really important factors for the Isle of Man that need sorting now. And this government is letting us down. This government needs sorting out, and we need somebody in charge who has got that ability to sort it out. And if they can't do it, then they all need to step aside and let somebody come in who can.
Susan, it's interesting. I've been often talked to people who've just moved over to the island, and I'm almost sick and tired of saying it didn't used to be like this.
No. I mean, this island is a beautiful place, and the residents support it. The residents are lovely people. We are all quite welcoming. We are all happy, nice, really lovely people. But when it comes down to our government, they are really, really letting us down. They need a good shake-up. That we need somebody in charge who can get things done. And I mean, it's not only us, Andy. I mean, if somebody wants to come on holiday here for the first time, or even somebody who's been coming here for a few years now, if they looked at all the blab that you get on all the tourism information, they would think, oh, that seems like a really lovely place to go. I think I'll book a holiday there. But then if they started listening and taking note of all the media and the radio programmes and, say, like the Mannin line, they might think twice, because all they'll hear is, we have no solid health system. We have really bad roads. Our education system isn't that brilliant. Our nurses are thinking about taking action because they're not being paid well. We have a ferry system that is charging a lot and doesn't run half the time. There are people considering leaving the island because they can't get across to see the relatives, guaranteed to get across to see the relatives because of the new boat. Etc. It just goes on and on and on.
Do you think, Susan, this is just something we've got to get through? I mean, I don't want to keep blaming COVID, but that did put a spanner in the works, particularly as far as air travel is concerned, because the airlines, we don't have many airlines, whereas we used to have quite a few.
It is, part of it is down to COVID, yes. There is a knock-on effect still, which will take many, many years to get over. But when you've got things like the businesses on the island that need a lot more support from our government, and when our government are still, they seem to just conveniently bring up daft little subjects. When there's something big, something major in the media.
Oh, you think it might be a diversion tactic?
I think sometimes it is, yes, because what was it when the bishop's vote was rattling along? I think it was something to do with education, maybe somebody looking to go on strike there, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, should the bishop have a vote? Well, then it's in the public interest to start saying, oh, well, should the bishop have a vote? And then the big issue that was rattling along and not being sought is then put to one side, and everybody's going, oh, should the bishop have a vote? Should we really be talking about the bishop having a vote? And it's the same now. Our health system is falling apart. It's like you said just before I started talking to you about people waiting on NHS dentists. You can't get an appointment to see a doctor. People are going to A&E because they can't get to see the doctor. So therefore A&E is full. The nurses are overworked. They want a pay rise. The nurses are looking at taking action. And it's ongoing. And then while all of that is rattling on and not being sorted by this inadequate government, then all of a sudden there's, we're going to put 20-mile-an-hour speed limits all over the place and really make people angry and really alienate them from the government that is here. That's what they're doing. They are alienating themselves. They're not representing the residents of the Isle of Man. They are alienating themselves from us, making us angry, making us despair.
Susan, let me put something to you.
Yep.
It's our fault. It's the voters' fault.
What?
There's a saying that you get the government, you get the politicians that you deserve. And we voted these politicians in.
We voted these politicians in when they were promising us things like, we will have a really good health system. We can bring you this. We can make this island great. We can do this. We can do that. Have they done that? I doubt that very, very much. Because that's what politicians do. Politicians get the votes by promising things like tax cuts. Oh, you won't be paying as much tax as you are now. Has there been a tax cut? Well, there sort of has been a tax cut, but that's been through the back door because they put the taxes up and then they've reduced it a little bit, but not to the rate or below the rate that it was when they first came in. You know, and the health system, Manx Care. I mean, who thought about Manx Care? Who invented Manx Care? Why did that come about? Why wasn't the system that was there in the first place allowed to continue and maybe be a little bit better than Manx Care?
Well, that was under the previous administration. That was Mr. Quayle. Do you remember he went to New Zealand to see how the Canterbury model over there, and they came back and take it out into the community, and that's where Manx Care came from. They commissioned that expensive report, and that's where they wanted basically to get the administration away from the day-to-day operations, so bluntly, so politicians couldn't get involved.
Right, well, politicians need to get involved because it's all going wrong into Andy. I mean, basically changing the name to Manx Care, all it's done is change the letterhead. It's been a very expensive letterhead change. And I've heard people say that there's far too many managers. I know that Manx Care is supposed to be looking into this now and seeing what managers they need so that they can reduce the budget, etc., etc. But they're taking out services that are needed, and they need to sort out the managers. They need to sort out the people that they do and don't need, and they need to do it very quickly. But the government here is in charge of big major things like that, and it's all the major things that need sorting. They need to put new projects on hold, like wind turbines, who apparently not many people want. So why don't they start listening to what we want and what we don't want? The majority of people don't want 20-mile-an-hour zones all over the place, all through villages. I have to drive through 3 villages to get to work, and it's going to take me quite a bit longer to get to work than it does already. All right, you're only talking like 10, 15 minutes longer, but it's 10, 15 minutes longer than I need. People who go on the bus, I mean, they're going to have to either get up earlier or show up late for work. I mean, how's it all going to work?
Okay, so Susan, just tell me then, if anybody's listening to this on a podcast or elsewhere and they're thinking of coming to the Isle of Man, reassure them it's a great place to come.
It's a beautiful place, Andy. I wouldn't still be living here if it wasn't beautiful. It's beautiful. We don't have as much crime as across. The way of life is a lot less stressful. There are stresses, but it's a lot less stressful. We are very welcoming. We are lovely residents, and we don't deserve to be trapped by the government the way they are treating us.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Susan. It's good to hear from you.
Okay.
Cheers now, and let's go to Howard now. Hi, Howard.
Oh, Andy, what a change to hear somebody talking sense. That lady there was speaking what a lot of people on the Isle of Man think, myself included, that the government are, well, they've put themselves on a perch. They're sitting up there looking down on the people who voted them in. And that's a classic example of the Chief Minister berating his ministers for voting against something that he thinks that is their entitlement to vote against it, and the programme was that it was going to be left until later because they wanted to give 20 million to cover the cost of the overspend, yet it's been estimated the cost of the overspend was 15.8 million. So where does the other 4.2 million disappear to? So that lady was speaking a lot of sense. And it brings me to the one that I've just come on for, actually. I saw on one of the news programs, a local news program, and the lady that was planting, the minister, there was a lady there, and she was planting daffodils in Portrait Mary to voice her opinion and objections to the potholes. So what do? They make a minister of the DOI now, and suddenly she become a person that's opposed to all the bits and pieces that the people want. And a classic example, and this is how stupid she thinks the people of the Isle of Man are, The problem with the harbour is that the Mannin is not getting used, and the thrust from the Mannin was helping to keep the harbour clear. Now, how naive does she think the people of the island are? It's like a teacher to the class. There's a fool on the end of this ruler. And little Johnny asked, which end of the ruler, miss? And that's exactly what this Michelle Haywood, she thinks the people of the island are stupid. They're not. And it's just that these people, once they get into power, they're all sucked into the same blob, and they come out with the same stupid ideas. That's a classic example on the promenade there, a £1 million wall. Donald Trump could have put that up in no time, and it would have been the same results. It will not keep the tide back. But these people are adamant that they're going to have their way, whether you like it or you don't. But that lady has just been on. She spoke a lot of sense, and more power to her elbow. What she said there, this program now, is exactly what the people want. And the people want, and they come around here, they'll be around here very shortly with their little manifestos, and they'll be promising you the earth, and they'll give you nothing. So that's the way the government are at the moment. And as she said about Alf Cannon, and I knew his dad, and he was a good man, but Alf Cannon, I thought he would have led the party, but he's not. He was part of the social services committee, so he has an input into that, and he's watching his back, because there must be an awful lot of people in civil service who have little access to grind, and they're going to chirp up, and he's in a difficult position at the moment, where anybody that he's come up against or has done favours for can throw him under the bus. So he's rolling along, and he's not making decisions. He is... Well, there was one. Now, correct me. Did the bishop lose his vote in Tynwald?
Not yet, I don't think so. No, it hasn't come to any sort of conclusion.
No, because I saw it on the bottom of that, where the people who voted against this particular thing for the 20 million, the bishop's name was on it, and he was against it. Mm. He voted. And I was unsure whether he did lose his vote or he has or hasn't. But he was able to vote, irrespective of how, whether he could or couldn't.
Anyway, talking of people coming over to visit the Isle of Man, you're part of that valiant team that manned the Camera Obscura. When does the Camera Obscura open? I
cannot, in all honesty.
Is it going to be Easter?
We're hoping against hope, but it's a little bit of a problem. As you can see, there's scaffolding around it, and there's work needing done on it. Now, I asked the other day, and there was an answer supposed to come back to me, because I want to go up and do the lenses and the mirrors and various parts of it.
Right.
Well, but... I don't know what's happening.
Okay, well, 4 weeks tomorrow is Good Friday. That's all I'll tell you.
Yep, and that was a couple of 3 weeks ago when that question was asked, and it's still looking. Well,
if the Kelly family are listening, I'm sure they'll be able to tell us.
Oh, Peter will, or Ruth or whatnot, but I don't know. I can't answer it on the grounds that. It's not classified, but it would open up a whole can of worms.
Okay. Well, the good thing is, if anybody's listening, remember, there aren't many. I mean, there are very, very few Camera Obscuras in the British Isles, and we've got one here, and it's brilliant.
But we've got one here that is unique. It's, the number of lenses and its age. 1897 it opened. And it's a registered building, so this is one of the problems, because they cannot do any work on it without going through the system.
Okay.
But if you want to come down sometime, Andy, you can have a look inside and see how the darn thing works.
All right. Appreciate it, Howard. Thanks for calling today.
Okay. Okay, take care.
Good to
Bye
hear
now.
from you. Bye-bye. A note in from Paul in Manchester. Myself and my family have been coming to the Isle of Man for over 30 years. An amazing place, and I've said it before, we'd move there in a heartbeat. The people on the island are brilliant. I agree with the previous lady. I think there's too much negative media, which may deter some visitors, but not us. Let's hear some positive notes on how great the Isle of Man is. We'll be there in July. Well, we got great beaches, we got great bays, we got fantastic glens, we've got some beautiful plantations, and we got Douglas Promenade. You can come and see the new wall on Douglas Promenade. If the government knows where they can save money, why is it taking so long to do? I think we should stop foreign aid, stop any new project, and I think we should get rid of the green policy, says 333. Manxcare needs to release a number of overpaid directors and a few less staff and spread the work around the remainder. The opinion of 333. Harold dropped a note in and said, you said last week somebody sent a message in about foreign aid and said, why don't they cancel foreign aid and make it tax deductible, i.e. if a person wants to support foreign aid or a foreign aid fund, they can make a donation as much as they want, and then it's tax deductible. Thereby, the Isle of Man would continue to give foreign aid, but it will be personal, and everybody is doing it because they want to do it. Mark said, Susan's spot on. The politicians need to start doing what people want rather than what they want. There's something really big going on tonight in Douglas Bay. There's a big drone show going on in Douglas Bay, and it's on. And Andy Hubbell's with us from. Is it Star Symphony Drone Shows, Andy?
It is, yeah.
Okay, and you've got. Is it you and ELS? You and Justin, I think, from ELS are putting the drone show on tonight in Douglas. How many drones are there? And what time does it start?
It's around 120. The show starts at 7:30 tonight, it goes on. It's around about 13 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
And anybody that knows the local area, well, the island, and of course most people here do, will, I'm sure, recognise quite a lot of things in the drone show.
Brilliant. How did it come about? Why are you doing it tonight?
So I have been involved in providing the fireworks display for Douglas at Guy Fawkes for over 10 years. And we've been out there on the beach in the barges. And a couple of years ago, we branched out, rather than us doing fireworks displays, into drone shows. I'll tell you a little story behind it. We were out at a fireworks trade show, and that was out in Europe, in Malta, and we saw this amazing drone system and just thought, that is absolutely stunning. The quality of the images that it was producing, the brightness of the drones, the colours, the dynamics of the drones just blew us away. We'd seen them before, but we weren't very impressed in previous years. Like during COVID, there was a big drone show that we went to, and we didn't think the technology was quite there. But suddenly this really grabbed us. Looked into it. We bought some drones. We went on training, and over the last few years, we've really honed our skills with. Personally, I've worked all over the world with drones: Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Malta, Germany, and New Year's Eve. You'd never guess where I was working. This New Year's Eve just gone, I was on Necker Island in the British Virgin Islands, which is Richard Branson's private island, where we did a drone show there with pyro drones. So that's where you do the normal light show that can produce images in the sky, and they have fireworks attached to them, only little ones, but really quite special. Okay. So I wanted to bring this to the island. I have a real affinity. I was hearing about your caller from Manchester, how they were saying they've been coming for 30 years. I mean, I've been coming here for a long time. I absolutely adore coming to the Isle of Man, and I absolutely echo everything he says about people and, everything. And I wanted to do it. So we've bought a free drone show. It's not a massive one. I've worked on ones with 1,200, sort of 10 times the size, but it's absolutely good enough to do what we want to do, which is really, create a bit of buzz and bring some of the real amazing, clever little images into the sky and animations and stuff. It'll be fun.
Douglas became a city about a year ago when the Queen was here as well. So is this anything to do with Douglas's first anniversary?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the great thing. We always said we wanted to do a drone show here. But this was the perfect opportunity.
Great.
It couldn't be better. It's the first one on the island, and it's celebrating a very big occasion. And anybody that watches the show tonight will see that we're sort of celebrating City Day.
And
definitely.
I think you're there with Justin and the guys from ELS are there at the moment. So if Justin could just actually get up from the big chair he's sitting there with his feet up, I'm sure he'll be doing some work later on. So just tell me.
They've been busy down there.
Tell me, Andy, who's paying for all this? Who's in charge of it?
Well, we're providing our services for free, as is Justin.
For free?
So for free, yeah. Yep.
And if this is a success, will we see any more shows in the future?
Oh, I hope so. It's a first, and let's see what the reactions are. But I've seen lots of reactions to other people that have seen shows for the first time, and they've been positive. But yeah, I hope so. There's so much that we can do with drones, and like I say, this is it's a big, small show, if that makes sense. So it's not a huge number of drones, but it's enough to create all the magic. It's absolutely enough. Anybody that sees tonight will be wowed, I'm pretty sure. But you've got a beautiful setting with Douglas Bay, and we're doing them. They'll be just over the beach. Best viewing location along the promenade, sort of between Regent Street and the Methodist Church. You'll still be able to see them from the sides of either side of that, but that'll be the optimal location.
Okay.
If I was sending a friend there, I'd say go there.
Okay, Regent Street to the Methodist Church. And what time tonight, Andy?
It's 7:30.
Okay.
7:30. And everything arranged with the City Council. Again, been working with them for a long time on events, and they've done a marvellous job sort of putting it together.
We appreciate it. Thanks for being with us today, Andy. Good to hear from you.
Thank you.
22 minutes to 1 now, that is. That's the show on tonight, 7:30 on Douglas Promenade, as Andy Hubble of Star Symphony Drone Shows said, between Regent Street and the Methodist Chapel to see it 7:30 tonight. See those drones. Let's hear from the Chief Minister then. Politicians have blocked efforts to hold the general debate onto the Manx Care mandate. Health and Social Care Minister Claire Christian had intended to spark this debate. The item didn't appear on the Tynwald order paper because it hadn't been on the Register of Business for 4 weeks. It meant a vote was required to suspend standing orders in order to proceed, i.e. bend the rules, suspend standing orders. 14 MHKs backed the suspension while 8 opposed it. And the decision... Well, you can hear what the Chief Minister thinks.
8 members of the House of Keys, and it was all House of Keys members, did not want to debate healthcare, and particularly a number of those members who have been shouting and screaming on the radio, on Twitter, or on social media. They get an opportunity to put in a considered contribution on behalf of their constituents, and they return that down. The government has worked really hard to try and bring this operating plan and the mandate together. We have to recognise the challenges that we are facing within the healthcare system, the explosion of costs, and the absolute need for us to address this for the greater good of the island in the long-term future, not just for the short-term tomorrow or the next day. And for those members to decline that opportunity is quite shocking to me, actually. The mandate will come into operation on effectively the beginning of April. Whatever debate is had in April now will clearly have some impact potentially on how things move forward. But there was a real opportunity today, and it's been lost. The government has got to get on with the job, and we're going to have to do that for another month or 6 weeks without hearing the views of politically elected representatives. Just frustrating, really, Christian.
Do you think that perhaps that maybe tabling stuff as a motion so that members did have a vote would be a good thing to go forward?
Well, we've got to remember is the primary legislation, when Manx Care was set up, it was set up at arm's length. So the law is that these documents are laid, the mandate is laid. It has been picked up for general debate before, but it is laid. And the reason why it's done like that was because we have to leave the decision-making, or the intention was to leave the decision-making to the professionals. I think we've all come to terms with the fact we're going to have to reshape some of these issues, or at least look at reshaping the relationship, because there is evidence to say that it needs to change, particularly around how the Minister has oversight of what is going on. But again, these things do take time. That does require collective discussion, and we'll have that discussion.
Alfred Cannon, MHK, your Chief Minister there. Well, LegCo supported the move. The failure to reach the necessary threshold in the Keys meant the debate couldn't take place. And remember, standing orders sets the rules governing Tynwald proceedings, and any suspension requires at least 70% support from members of Keys. The ones who voted against were Tim Glover, Laurie Hooper, Sarah Maltby, Jason Morehouse, Julie Edge, Joni Farragher, Juan Watterson and John Wannenberg.
We interrupt this broadcast to inform all our listeners about the huge range of bathrooms and showers on display at Pacesetter. Yes, you all know that Pacesetter is known as the island's largest tile store, but I'm here to tell you that their bathroom displays are truly inspirational. Visit Pacesetter on Harris Terrace, where you'll discover a fabulous collection of stylish bathrooms. There's something to suit everyone, with design available. Pacesetter bathrooms and showers to show off about.
This old house needed new windows. This old house needed a new door. And with DPM Conservatories, we got all that and more. Now our bills are lower and the house is warmer too. We're cleaner and we're greener since we swapped our old for new. Stunning A+ rated replacement windows and doors, expertly fitted by DPM Conservatories. Phone 612 333 or find them on Facebook and swap your old for new.
Crossroads Isle of Man, putting carers first.
Come to the Community Cafe at Crossroads. Enjoy a bite to eat or a cuppa and cake, all while supporting a worthy cause. The Community Cafe at Crossroads, 11 Tynwald Street, Douglas. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. every Thursday and Friday.
Crossroads Isle of Man, putting carers first.
On a frustrating run of 6 games without a win, can FC Isle of Man break their duck in the NWCFL Premier Division this weekend? After a gruelling doubleheader last time out, the Ravens are back at the bowl again this Saturday with South Liverpool, the latest visitors. Join me, Rob Pritchard and Tony Mepham for FC Isle of Man versus South Liverpool, kicking off at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Manx Radio will be bringing you full live match commentary on our DAB and AM 1368 channels. Live coverage of FC Isle of Man on Manx Radio is supported by Selton, investing in our community. The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Johnny said, I've just driven along Shore Road and counted at least 27 cat's eyes that have paint marks around them. They must be marked up for repair, and they've not long been installed in Shore Road. We're looking for rogue cat's eyes. And Bonzo's on now. Hi, Bonzo.
Hello, yes. Speaking of things about sort of Port St Mary, just before I speak on something else, Howard's comments on one of my MHKs, Michelle Hayward, the Minister for Infrastructure. Well, Howard is entitled to his opinion. However, perhaps before he puts his opinion on air, he might actually like to have gained some information on the subject, such as the fact that Michelle Hayward, of course, amongst other things, was a professional diver, and so is very cognizant of seabed and how it behaves. And also her husband is master of the Tower Ashton. So I think, given that despite being Minister for Infrastructure, she would therefore have a rather greater knowledge of what's going on in the harbour.
So is that so? Michelle Hayward's husband is the Taro Estuary. That's the little dredger thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I stand to be corrected, but as memory serves, she declared that in an answer to a Tymmal question.
Okay.
I think on Tuesday.
Okay.
So, so yes, she she knows of what she speaks.
Okay.
As Howard might be to say. Now, coming on to the vote for the supplementary 20 million quid for Manx Care. That was an absolute shambles, an utter shambles. In my time, the civil servant doing some primary and secondary legislation and those kind of votes and things like that, if we'd have messed up like that, we'd have been hanging from flagpoles. Why on earth didn't anyone bother to check that the explanatory memorandum had been included and wasn't just hanging around somewhere on the register of business? Fundamental mistake. And of course, Tynwald were going to go, sorry, we're not having this. If you think we're voting on that, go away. And that only leads me to two conclusions. Either A, they couldn't be bothered to check, they just assumed. Fatal schoolboy error. Or secondly, they were trying to pull a fast one. And I must admit, the more I hear, the more I suspect to the, we're trying to get it through with the minimum amount of discussion. So I think Alf, stomping up and down with his face going red, in his usual petulant, low-ability subaltern manner, is not going to fool anyone. It was badly done. And what you should do in such a case is to put up your hand and say, yeah, okay, we got it wrong. And what Claire Christian should have done is that after the debacle with the supplementary vote, she should have withdrawn that supplementary order paper.
So what will the public gain by the fact that this discussion, this debate has been put off? What's in it for the public, Bonzo?
Well, there wasn't any purpose in doing it. There's no vote on it. So no, it'll just have to go into next month. But hooing and hawing about this saves, of course, and distracts from losing face from Alf, etc., for such a completely useless mistake on the supplementary vote from Treasury.
And where do you think the responsibility lies for that?
Well, the minister is the department, and the department is the minister. So, if Alex couldn't be bothered to make sure that it had been checked, or if, God forbid, somehow there had been developed a strategy by which it should be just chucked through, which might also explain the fact that it hadn't been on the register of business for long enough. Yeah, it doesn't all fit together.
Okay.
And it does have the image of, as we've been saying on other issues, of a so-called government, working from day to day, kind of making it up as they go along.
Okay, all right, Bonzo. Good to hear from you.
Okay, then, take care. Right, bye.
And David's with us now. Let's get to... Hi, David.
Hi, different point of view as far as I'm concerned. The 8 people that voted against not progressing things, really, what have they done for us as a community? Not a lot. They delayed something we could have had a debate about. And all those 8 said they've been into their constituencies and done stuff and had views and issues like that. I've never seen that, particularly as I'm concerned, of the MHKs for Onken. The only one that's ever I've had a word with is Rob Collister, and he voted the right way as far as I'm concerned, that we should have had this debated and flushed out any issues that these politicians have in their desks or whatever. But to just do that, and I feel sorry for and I'll say that publicly too, for the Minister of Health. The new minister's in there, to me, and I'm not in their constituency before anybody asks, I'm not. she's performed well as far as I'm concerned, and she's picked up a chalice which nobody else out of those 8 would have got anywhere near.
So why do you think the 8 MHKs voted against it?
Oh, headline grabbing, early electioneering, and we've got another year to go yet, but they're off on the trot already. What are they doing for us for our the money we're paying them? You know, the thing that went wrong years ago is they started paying them whether they were in a department or not. So when they're not in a department, they just sit back and relax and get the deck chairs out when it's sunny. But I've got to give it to the Minister in South Douglas there. To me, she's been fine. She's took on the issues. You listen to all the sniping all the time. She's direct. She comes back to them on particular issues. And listen, in my time too, and today, you can knock on the door if you were a member of this Parliament. Knock on the door and ask Health, can I have a chat? Like we used to do to the Chief Ministers years ago, and I'm sure that still happens. And they have briefings in the Brule Suite, and you get to know the private things, and you get to know the things that can be publicly consumed. But I think they've lost. And the final, I just wanted a quick little slip up too, is regarding the Chief Constable. I'm led to believe now the Chief Constable wasn't consulted on the 20-mile-an-hour zones. Now, going back years, you had to have the buy-in from the police, not so much as Chief Constable or their officers, because enforcement, if they can't enforce something or they haven't got the resources to do it, it's not going to happen.
Okay, all right.
So why are we still going down the road of not getting other departments in a line to say, if you do something in the future, we're going to enforce it and it's going to be meaningful?
Okay, appreciate that.
And Frank needs to talk to me from Baldrain. He hasn't rang me back yet. All right.
What's your telephone number again then, David?
627-863.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Cheers, boy.
Good to hear from you. The MHKs who voted against that yesterday, of course, were Tim Glover, Laurie Hooper, Sarah Maltby, Jason Morehouse, Julie Edge, Joni Farragut, Ewan Watterson and John Wannerberg. Now, a key factor in the opposition came from Ramsey MHK Laurie Hooper, former DHSC minister, of course, who tabled a motion for next month's sitting arguing that the mandate and operating plan for Manx Care are inadequate and would result in unacceptable reductions in service. His motion calls for the DHSC to revise the plans ensuring frontline services aren't restricted and that NHS services aren't replaced with private alternatives. Speaking in Tynwald, Mr Hooper highlighted that his motion was already scheduled for debate in April, telling members, quote, I've tabled this and it's on the register of business, so that debate will happen whether you like it or not. So you can either debate it twice or wait until next month, end of quote.
Office World, have we got it? Office World, yes we have. Office World.
For all things stationery, from pens, pencils, paper and ink cartridges to desking and seating, Office World has it. Call 666 366. Come down to Spring Valley Industrial Estate, Braddon to find out more of what's in store.
Office World, have we got it? Office World, yes we have. Office World.
Waltons have hundreds of TVs in stock ready to go, from Samsung to LG, here on the island. Plus, a large range of main appliances in stock, including fridge freezers, washing machines, and everything your home will need from all the top brands like Smeg, Samsung, and Hotpoint. With special offers throughout the store and delivery and installation available, check out Waltons on Facebook or waltons.im. Or, even better, visit Waltons in Isle of Man Business Park, opposite Robinson's, for great prices and great service.
To celebrate Bed Month, you could win an incredible Sealy bed worth over £1,000 at Millie Chaps of Ramsey with our Celebs in a Bed prize draw. 2 celebrities are tucked up in Millie Chaps' luxurious beds, so call in store and identify the Celebs in a Bed for your chance to win. Simply text their names and your name to 166 177, starting your message with the word bed. All correct entries will go into the prize draw live on Manx Radio at the end of the month. Call in store to enter and check out Millie Chap's fantastic great offers across the store. Celebs in a Bed with Millie Chaps at Ramsey and your nation station, Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Orrisdale Road to St Mark's, lots of cat's eyes missing and broken all over the road, says 023. We're tracking down rogue and missing cat's eyes just to see, and if your car's been kind of affected by one or hit by one, then just let us know. Cat's eyes. Have they put the wrong glue in or something? What's happening? A note in just to say regarding the drone man, the sooner Douglas councillors are voted out, the better. What a waste of ratepayers' money. Pam, you missed the point. They're doing it for free. I don't think they're getting paid. It's ELS and these drone people. So there we are. A note in that says, Andy, Susan spoke very eloquently and summed up perfectly how much the government's failed us. If Mr. Cannon was listening, perhaps he may feel he should resign with him. I don't think he will, Ian. For that matter, I think it's time for the administration to stop looking inwardly and took notice of what people need and want and do the decent thing, call a new general election. It's not going to happen, let me tell you that. The next general election is September next year. In fact, if you want to circle the date in your diary, the general election is going to be on Thursday the 24th of September. Thursday 24th of September next year, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. you'll be able to vote. I stand by what I said, by the way. You get the politicians you deserve. So if you don't like the politicians that we have, I'm saying it's your fault, because you could put yourself forward to be a politician. Local elections soon, the nominations are open. But next year when the elections come round, and I'll tell you now, I have great respect for anybody who puts himself forward for a public ballot. It's grueling, it's nerve-wracking, and it takes a lot of effort. And no, I won't be doing it. Isle of Man Public Health is reminding you to register if you don't want your organs to be removed in the event of your death. The Isle of Man's moving to an opt-out system to replace the current practice. The Human Tissue and Organ Donation Bill got royal assent in July 2021. The island will operate a system similar to England, Scotland and Wales. You have to opt out. Currently there's an opt-in service, but it's going to be opt-out. So if you don't want to donate organs when the bill comes into practice, you record your decision at organdonation.nhs.uk. That's organdonation.nhs.uk. That's it. Thanks to Chris on the phone. It's going to be back tomorrow. Open line.
WINT.